Communicate with your horse. Communicate clearly with your horse. Hi, my name is Chris Adderson. I'm the founder of Harmony for the Horse, our online riders program. Do you know how to draw on your very unique experiences, create the most effective and transformative pieces so you can communicate with your horse? Or are you very, very crystal clear on your unique way of carrying your spine so that you can then speak to your horse? It helps you appreciate your journey as something that's a gift to you, and that gift you can then give your horse. It positions you as the leader or the partner that you want to be for your horse. It connects you to your horse and builds the trust better than anything else that you could do with your horse. In fact, it actually gets you closer and closer to balance. Even if you feel that you're not a talented rider or you've not been successful in the past, in today's training, I'm going to be walking you through some of the most powerful ways that you can use your uniqueness to communicate super clearly with your horses so that you can build an everlasting bond with your horse. We each have our own unique way of carrying our spines and therefore our bodies, right? Not relating to horses even, but daily we have this, our habits. There are various influences that have happened in our life. It's the history of us. The history of us is imprinted on us like a signature. Traumas that we've had in the past, joys we've had in the past, emotions that we have, injuries perhaps that we've had, relationships that we've had. These are all imprinted upon us like a signature. These physical and emotional states directly affect our signature and the way we are and the way we move. And vice versa, how we move directly affects our physical state and our emotional state. When we pay attention to our movement, attention to our posture, if you want to call it that, attention to the ability to self-carry ourselves, we then feel better. Our movement affects how we feel, and how we feel affects our movement. So let me give you an absolutely beautiful experience, an example that I've had with one of my students about this connection and how this weaving together of the mind and the body. Her name is Karen. She was struggling. She had taken lots of courses, gathered lots of information. She was really struggling with the ability to connect the dots and to put amount of information that she had, because she had a lot of information under her belt from taking all these online courses, and she studied very hard, but this happiness was missing. There was no flow and ease with what she was doing, and there was the happiness that was continually being elusive to her. She was frustrated with this amount of information and the integration of that information, connecting it. In our program, we worked with the movement, and we worked with helping her to find her movement, where she found places that she was stuck. And then we dug really, really deep into the emotions, finding subconscious blocks, sorting out emotions, where they're stuck. The rider has put them in the closet. What part of her body do we push those emotions and close the closet door? Last week on our group call, she posted a beautiful, absolutely beautiful picture of her and her horse doing wonderful liberty together, and her actually on her other horse riding, when before that she was so frustrated that she would never be able to do those kinds of things. And she said, so sorting through emotions appears to bear fruit. It was so wonderful to see how the process of the mind and the movement interweaved together, and we could help her to make those connections. So movement doesn't lie. When you know what to do and when you know how to access your good movement, and this is related to the question about balance, when the movement is good, you will be balanced. It's like watching a dancer. When a dancer is moving, it's glorious to watch. It's seamless, it's flow, it just happens. It's very satisfying. And it's the same when you're watching a horse and a rider pair. The movement doesn't lie. It becomes seamless and it flows. It's very enjoyable to watch because it's harmony in motion. That does not come from extraneous movement of the limbs, right? It comes from training yourself and finding your pure movement that's close to your spine, that's inside you, very, very fine and in close to your spine. We know that we as people, as humans, we're social, and horses are the same. In being social beings, we communicate with each other. We like to communicate with each other. How do horses communicate with each other? They use movement. Horses are masters of movement. They're larger than life. Their bodies are larger than life. Their movement is larger than life. If we can be the best that we can possibly be in our own movement, then we can communicate with them better. They also use voice too, right? So there is some voice, but the majority of their communication is through movement. And when I say movement, that can be facial expression, it can be the ears, it can be, from the most minute movement to the most large, gross movement. They communicate with movement. Body doesn't lie, movement doesn't lie, and horses don't lie. So if you want to clearly communicate with your horse, you need to look at your movement. You need to discover your pure good movement, how you move, and along with that means that you need to address your emotions, your mind, your thoughts. Isn't it true that our emotions and what's going on in our thoughts gets manifested in our bodies, and therefore it's manifested in our movement? Movement and how we carry ourselves and the internal physical state is imprinted on our movement. Our internal emotional state is imprinted on our movement. So if we're feeling small because of being anxious or being fearful, any of the other negative emotions that we have, then we are going to be small. We are going to move small. Our body becomes small. What's really important is that our horses pick up on this instantly. They can see instantly when you're being small or when you're being large for opposite reasons. So the way you carry your body around your horse, around your life, is sending messages all the time, sending messages out to the people around you, out to the horses around you. They're picking up on it. Some instructors say this: be purposeful with the way you walk, or breathe, hold your head high, have good posture, shoulders back, be mindful. Things like this is what people are saying. It can help in the moment, but it doesn't last. It doesn't help you. It doesn't heal you. It's far more than that. It's way more than that. And this is what we do in our program. And this is what we helped Karen with, that helped her to have such amazing epiphanies and realizations and growth within herself, was sorting out her movement, pure movement, for her unique person. Everybody's different. And then digging into the emotional state and cleaning out the closets. Then you can find balance. Relationship with your horse, to the way you move, to the way you think, to how you feel about yourself. That's when you can find balance. You can find balance in mind and movement. Another example is if your body is on the forehand and falling down with every step, then so is your mind. The two cannot be separated. What emotion do you want to leave at the gate when you go to meet your horse? And the emotions were like anger, anxiety, fear, frustration, apprehension, a whole bunch of negative emotions. This is what we have to deal with today, maybe more than usual, but we deal with it in daily life. It's just life. Life happens, and we're constantly dealing with that. All of the negative emotions that we know that we have, we want to leave them at the gate. But do you think it's okay to just say, all right, I'm over that. I pushed that negative emotion away. I left it at the gate. and now I'll go get my horse. Do you think from what I've told you here that your horse can see through that? Yes, your horse can. It's lingering. It's inside you, and horses can see that. And this is where you need a process to help you to clear that. You have to have a process to deal with these things. Horses are wired. They are made to be aware of emotions and movement out in their environment, anywhere. They can pick up on the slightest of change in their environment. Bird flutters over in the tree. Is that bird being predated upon, or is that bird catching a fly? That's just the way they are. They need to be that way to survive. Horses are wired to be so in tune with movement and emotions. They need to be able to decipher those things. That's how they live. It's the gift that they've been given from nature. The pure good movement that we're working on, as a dancer would do, is what we need to find. Because until we have that, there's going to be fuzziness. There's going to be confusion, not only from our perspective, but from the horse's perspective. How do I read this person when they have extreme anxiety buried deep in a closet inside them? They will adapt. They would much rather have the clarity. And so this is what we work with in our program. If you get a chance to work with us, we work with going beyond limiting movement, going beyond limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, limiting words, limiting beliefs about yourself, so that then you can walk out, meet your horse at the gate, and it's clear, or relatively clear, or at least you have the intent that you're working on it and your horse can see that. And it's not about giving you more stuff to do. It's not about telling you where to put your foot or your leg or your hand or your focus, any of that stuff. That's just stuff that becomes aids, that then you go to the next step and you go to the obedience of the aids. It's about going beyond these things for yourself so that you can really show up with your horse and for your horse and build that bond that you really, really want to build with your horse. So that then you're not dealing with that on a daily basis. And you know, one person said to me, she said, no, if I'm having a negative feeling, I just don't go out with my horse. I don't think it's fair to go out with my horse when I have anger. And it's true, but what are you doing to help yourself with the anger? You need a process again. You need help with that. You need to find the process for you that's going to go beyond that so that you can go out with your horse. You can have anger happen to you. You can have something happen to you in life and you get frustrated or you feel you're not good enough, but you know how to deal with that. That's empowering. I would just want to say one more thing, and that's about perfection. It's about quality. And I refer to posture and how I don't really like to refer to it as posture because posture is stagnant. And how I like to refer to it is about self-carriage and your ability to carry your spine. So I'm not the kind of person that's going to go around and pick at riders' positions in the saddle or out of the saddle. But what I can do and what I have honed over many years is the ability and the skill to see what's behind someone's movement or to see what's behind what someone is saying. We not only see your movement and hear what you're saying, but we hear what you're not saying and we hear how you're not moving. And that's where the magic is. That's where the 20% of the magic is. In our program is where we can pick that out so that you won't take another online course and feel worse at the end of the course or feel so far behind it's not working for you. We'll get to the place where you have epiphanies, where you have changes, where you get success with your horse. And so, like I said, it's not about perfection, it's about quality. And quality is not perfect. Quality allows you to feel your own body and therefore feel your horse's body. And this is where we need to begin. And this is where, from there, we take steps every day, little tiny steps to get a little bit better with our riding, with a little bit better with our emotions. And you know, you may think that you're not a talented rider, you're not a natural rider. It doesn't matter. When you're looking for your own unique quality movement, that it's unique to you. So it doesn't matter. You have it inside you. Everybody does. And so for me, this is where it's worth the energy to spend on this. It's worth the payoff in the long term, like an amazing investment of time, energy, every day doing this. Because you're working from both ends. You're working from the mind, you're working from the movement, and you're getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the balance, to that place where you have very clear, crystal clear communication with your horse. So if this resonates with you, if this is something you want to get support with, so that you can go out and meet your horse at the gate and not have to worry about negative emotions being buried deep inside of you, and not have to worry about overwhelm and having to do a bunch of stuff, then click on the link that's somewhere around this video, and that will take you to an application where you can apply to work with us in our program, where you can bear fruit and find out how much joy there is in really riding in flow. Thanks so much for being with me. If you have any questions, feel free to put questions. And it's been great to have you here with me. Have an awesome weekend and a wonderful time with your horse, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye for now.